Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's going on out there, everybody? This is Ben Dickerson. I am your co-host. Let's see, what do we got? We got week 8 coming up. So we need to talk a little bit about what happened in week 7, and then we'll decide who we like as winners as opposed to the bias for week 8. Also, I'm going to count week 9 as mid-season, the midway point. So next week, I'm going to try to put together some mid-season awards. A little,
Okay, all
little
right.
something to throw in there real quick.
There you go. What is it, 17 game season, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I could do it today, but well,
no, no,
it's an
yeah.
18 week season.
No, no, but game, 17 games.
17 games.
Yeah,
Correct.
17 games, 18 weeks. Okay, all right. Well, the way we run this is we utilize the Bias Plus reports, which takes the Sterling net point power rankings into account when we're talking about net points and turnover differential, puts them all in a mathematical formula, and it spits out a number that favors one team or the other. Generally, the team with the higher net points would be favored. That would make sense. Again, as an example, if my team is winning by an average of 25 points and your team is winning by an average of 5, and my team plays your team, that differential of 20 points would favor my team. Kind of makes sense. So let's jump right into it, Benny.
Okay, let's jump right into it. Week 8. This looks like Thursday night football tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
We got the 3-3 Vikings going to visit the 4-3 Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the 3-3 Vikings lost at home to the Eagles last weekend, 28-22. They were better than the Eagles in time of possession, total number of offensive plays, and total number of first downs. But Carson Wentz threw 2 interceptions, and 5 out of 6 trips to the red zone ended with field goals instead of touchdowns. So turn the ball over, you're probably going to lose. You don't cash in the red zone, you're probably going to lose. That's exactly what happened to the Vikings. The Chargers, on the other hand, are now 4-3 after losing at home to the Indianapolis Colts. That's 3 losses in their last 4 games, even though Justin Herbert completed 37 passes, which was a franchise record, by the way, 420 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they still lost. Of course, they fell behind early, they abandoned the run, and Herbert turned it over twice. Once again, turnovers are the big bugaboo. Even though the Chargers are at home, I like the Vikings' run game, and I think their defense is going to do a little better against the Chargers' offense than it did against the Eagles, which actually was a fairly close. Well, it's 28-22, so it was a good game. So I'm going to go with the bias and pick the Vikings.
Only favoring the Vikings by a little over a field goal, 3.8 rankings and Chargers. Um, yeah, who's that? Who's that? Carson Wentz for the Vikings now.
Yes.
One of those guys that inspired the concept of mind fart for me. So still does some things every once in a while. Although that talent, that raw size and strength and all of those things are there, just every once in a while he does that. And there's a couple other guys also I'm going to mention here. But as far as you're concerned, you're going to go with the bias over those Chargers. Come on, man. Justin Herbert, you don't think he can go in there and get that done?
They just lost 3 of their last 4. They're
Okay.
reeling.
All right, here we go. Bills at Panthers. Bias plus score of 6.4 favors the Bills, Benny. The Bills.
Oh boy, let's see. The Bills got the bias. Oh, you know what? I was just thinking to myself, I don't remember the Bills playing last week. That's because they're coming off the bye. Now, last time we saw them, they were getting shot by the Falcons in Atlanta, 25-14. Not necessarily a score that you would expect from the Buffalo Bills. Um, Carolina Panthers, for the first time since Bryce Young was drafted, the Panthers have a 3-game win streak with him as the starting quarterback. Yes, Bryce Young. Yes, the Carolina Panthers. Unfortunately, he did injure his ankle in the win against the Jets, so we'll have to see what his status is for this week. Him, I haven't heard about too much, so I'm not exactly sure if he's going to be able to go this week. If he cannot go, then they will go with your guy, the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. But it's just an ankle. We'll have to wait and see. That being said, I'll tell you, going to Carolina is looking kind of dangerous for folks nowadays. This is a toughie. This is a toughie, man. Carolina's playing well. Their ground game is churning. And
Yeah,
their
who's that young
defense,
man they got running the ball now?
they got Chuba Hubbard and they got Rico Dowdle.
Rico. That's right. Buckle up,
So,
Rico, right?
yeah, buckle up them chin straps, Bills, because you might be in a little bit of trouble. In fact,
Uh-oh.
dude, the Carolina Panthers are 4-3. Let's give them some boys some respect. I'm going to pick the Panthers. Panthers
I,
are 4-3, man. When's the last time we said that?
well, the other part about it is that we were just talking about their running backs, and if I remember correctly, the Bills are struggling against the run. Am I correct?
That would be correct.
Okay, okay. All right.
Now
So,
they are coming off the bye, so there's a good possibility that they've got some things together, but they still got to go down to Carolina. And I'm telling you, uh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going
well,
to go with the Panthers on this.
he's going to go against the bias, going with the Panthers over those Buffalo Bills. All right. Bears at Ravens, Benny. Look at this bias plus 19.8 favoring the Bears. How the world has changed. How the world has changed. Now, these are the Ravens, that had not had Lamar for how many weeks now? 4, 5?
I think it's been 4.
Or somewhere in that area, and looks like he's coming back. But right as the Bears are starting to feel themselves a little bit, what do you got on this?
Well, I was about to say, don't look now, but the Chicago Bears are 4-2, kind of the same as when I said the Panthers are, 4-3. 4-2, the Bears. That's after a 26-14 win at home over the Saints last weekend. Now, the week before on our show, I talked about the improvement that I've seen in Caleb Williams. This past weekend, they beat the Saints with a dominant run game and DeAndre Swift from Philadelphia, by the way, and a strong opportunistic defense. So the Bears are not only getting better quarterback wise, but they're getting better defensive wise too. So again, we talked earlier about that Black Friday game, Bears Eagles.
Yeah.
Could be something. Could be something. The Ravens, they are coming off the bye. Last time we saw them, they were getting their butts kicked at home by the Rams. Very embarrassing. They have a long list of injured players, and Lamar Jackson's status is still in question, although I did see some video of him at practice today. But he wasn't doing anything but kind of jogging around and throwing the ball. So I'm not exactly sure if he's going to be ready to go or not. But my assumption is that he will be ready to go. I have to check tomorrow and see if he was limited at all in practice. I'm sure he was. But if he can get a full practice in on Friday, chances are he'll be ready to go. That being said, I don't think the team is going to be ready to go. I think the Bears are going to go down there and beat them boys. Going with the Bears, going with the bias.
Yeah, that's a nice, healthy bias plus, man. I mean, that really shows
Bears are
some
just, they're
faith in them.
playing really well. And so many things are ailing the Ravens. I can't see them getting that together in 1 week.
Yeah, I can't see the Ravens all of a sudden handing Derrick Henry the ball 25 times. It's just unfathomable.
That'd be their only chance.
There you go. All right. Browns at Patriots. Bias plus score of 13.7 favors the Patriots. That's almost 2 touchdowns, Benny. Drake May is dealing down there or up there.
Patriots. Yeah. They have racked up their fourth straight win overall and their third straight win on the road. Very, very impressive. They crushed the Titans last weekend 31-13. And in case you forgot, I told you last week, but in case you forgot, I'm going to tell you again, Drake May is the real deal. I know it was the 1-6 Titans. No doubt about that. But May threw for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for another 62 yards on only 8 carries. This kid is a true dual threat quarterback. Far better than I thought he was going to be coming out of the draft. I thought he was going to be good, man, but I didn't think he was going to be this good. This kid's dealing. Their highly ranked defense now leads the league in defensive touchdowns also, by the way. Now, the Browns played well in all 3 phases, and they trashed the Dolphins 31-6. Dylan Gabriel didn't have to do too much because Quinshon Judkins scored 3 touchdowns on the ground, and the defense had 4 takeaways. Again, strong ground game, strong defense, turnovers usually spells victory for you or defeat, depending on what side you're looking at it on. Now, the Browns are kind of scary, but the Patriots are on a heater, as they would say. They're 5-2. They're looking good. They're going to be at home. They're coming off a big win against the Titans. I got to go with the Patriots, man. I got to ride these boys. They're looking good. So I'm going to stick with the bias and take the Patriots.
Going with the bias. 13.7 is the score favoring those Patriots. Well, let me see. I wonder how bad the Patriots would have to beat the Browns be beating them for us to get a chance to see Shador.
I think Gabriel's going to have to lose like 2 more games in a row.
Okay.
If he loses the next 2 in a row, the fans are going to start chanting if they haven't started already.
Oh, yeah. How many wins do they have? Do you know?
Who, Cleveland?
Yeah.
They're 2-5.
2-5. Okay, so if they lose 2 more, that'd be 2-7. That's
Yeah.
9 games out of 17. You're pretty much out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
At that point, and you can just see what you got, so to speak. Or
exactly.
And also, we have a trade deadline coming up soon, don't we?
Yeah, I forget. Week 10?
Yeah, somewhere around there, but I think the beginning of November, and we're not that far off in November.
Okay.
So, all right, here we go. Browns at Patriots. Ben's going with the bias, going with the Patriots. Dolphins at Falcons. Bias plus score of 13.2 favors the Falcons, Benny. Ah, man. Dysfunction. Do you spell dysfunction D-O-L-P-H-I-N-S? That how you spell dysfunction, Benny?
I'll tell you, man. So Miami lost last week. Obviously, I just talked about it. They lost to the Browns badly. They barely put together 200 total yards of offense. But Mike McDaniels is still the head coach, and he has confirmed during the week that Tua is still his starting quarterback. I guess he's going to ride this thing out, man. I don't know. I don't know how much loyalty is going to get him. But, also, if I'm not mistaken, what's his name? The Miami backup, I believe, is the kid that was playing for the Jets before Aaron Rodgers got there. I can't think of his name. But anyway, that may be why Tua is still starting. But that being said, let's talk about the Falcons. They've got a good run game, really good run game, and it can be extremely productive when Bijan Robinson's really got it going. But when he doesn't have it going, like he didn't last weekend, Michael Penix and the passing game haven't shown the ability to consistently pick up the slack. That's a little knock on Penix, and I know they were talking him up about his arm strength and his ability to make the throws deep on the outside part of the field and all that. But guess what? If If you can't get to the red zone, if you can't push the ball into the end zone, it's not going to do you any good. So, that being said, the 3-3 Falcons will be at home, and the Dolphins are a mess. So I got to go with the bias and take the Falcons.
That will be one backup Zach Wilson, Benny.
Zach Wilson. Oh my God. That's
I
probably why Tua is still starting.
don't know. Zach might get in there and do a little something, something.
That's
Jeez.
a big might.
Zoom
And I tell you the truth, it might not be as big a might as I'm making it sound because Tua's done basically zero.
Tua is playing like, I mean, 3 interceptions and some of them just look terrible, you
Looks like
know?
he's closing his eyes.
So, yeah, I mean, at least you feel like Zach's going to come in there and maybe play a little bit, execute on the basics. If you can execute on the basics with that team, you might be okay. And like you said last week, you always got a chance with a chance. So we shall see. We shall see. All right. Falcons. Benny's going with the bias, going with the Falcons. Here you go, Benny. Giants at Eagles. Bias plus score of 8.9. Benny favors the Eagles. Oh
So
my
I
goodness.
told you about the bet I made with the guy in the gym, right?
No.
I didn't tell you that story. Tell you a real fast story. So I'm in the gym. I got Lawrence is with me. We're working out and we're kind of talking in between sets and we're talking about football. So there's a couple other guys. There was actually 4 of us all together, just kind of talking amongst ourselves. And one guy had on an Eagles Super Bowl shirt. So I was like, man, take that raggedy old shirt off, man. That Jones old. That's what you're telling me about my Super Bowls, that they're old. That's old. That Super Bowl is old. You might as well take that shirt off. So we all start laughing and we're giggling and, cutting up a little bit. And this big, muscular dude looks like he's about 6'5". He's got muscles coming out of his ears. Comes over. What you say? What you say about my squad? And he's like going off about the Eagles. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, bro, it's not that serious. We're laughing, we're having fun. He's going on and on and on. So I'm like, well, if they were so good, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Oh, he didn't want to hear that. He didn't want, and let me tell you, Barry, the dude was loud. He had a real deep voice and it was really loud. It was very annoying. And he came in on our conversation and messed everything up, right? So I was starting to get angry. But the guy was really big.
Common
I'm
sense.
sorry. So to get rid of him, I said, you know what? I bet you we split with y'all. He's like, we? Who's we? Who's your team? I said, the Giants. He starts laughing. I said, I bet we split with you. We played twice, right? In the division, right? Yeah, that's right. But y'all ain't gonna never beat the Eagles. Ah. So I said, I bet you we split you. What you want to bet? I said, $50. I stuck my hand out, right? She said, $50. Make it 100. Make it 1,000. I'm like, dude, easy, easy. I said, I'll bet you $50 that we win one out of the 2 games. So he grabs my hand, he shakes my hand. You're crazy. Why would you ever make a bet like that? And I said, because it's football. And then he walked away.
Yeah.
So it worked. It got rid of him. So anyway, my $50 has been won, but I haven't seen him in the gym since.
Uh,
I know. So anyway, here we go. Giants 2-5. Wish they were 3-4, but they're 2-5. They suffered a horrible defensive collapse against the Broncos in Denver after going up 19-0 and with 5 minutes left in the game, still holding on to a 10-point lead. With 5 minutes left in regulation, they were still up 10. Conservative play on the defensive end ultimately did them in. But even when they had the ball with time to force the Denver Broncos to use their timeouts, they neglected to do it. I'm especially upset about the series where he threw the interception. Not only did that give them the ball back with a lot of clock, but also that was the opportunity to get them to use the last timeout. All you have to do is just run the ball again. You get the first down, wonderful. You don't get the first down, you punt it. They got to drive the length of the field. with no timeouts. I like my situation better that way. And we're still in the lead. But no, you want to throw the interception to them and blah, blah, blah. So this loss was definitely on the coaching staff as far as I'm concerned. I blame the defensive coordinator the most, but I blame the head coach for standing there and watching it happen and not saying anything. Um, can't take off the pass rush in a situation like that. You run a prevent defense, all you do is prevent your team from winning. Now,
I've actually heard some of the pundits talk about um, not running the ball in that situation, like you just basically said. Because, like I always say, football is a game of time and space. And at
exactly.
that point, you want to kill clock. You know,
You want to kill clock and you want to keep field position.
you kill clock and you want field position. And Benny, somebody that I know you're respecting, I'm looking it up real quick as I'm saying it to you because I want to make sure that I say it correctly. But someone once said, here it is, that someone, the venerable Woody Hayes, said, when you throw the ball, three things can happen.
That's right.
And two of them
And
are
two of them are bad. That's right.
So
That's a
that's what I
fact.
thought of when I heard them talk about it. And now I hear you talk about it. Bottom line is I'm agreeing with you for sure, for sure. All right, let's move on. You're going
So,
with,
well, we're not done.
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. I got to talk about the Eagles.
Mm.
I want to let everybody know I'm gonna get off my soapbox in reference to the Eagles. I know I've been talking about them a lot. I've been talking about what I think ails them, and then I get up the next morning, I hear the guy on ESPN say the same thing I said. So evidently, he's looking over your shoulder while you're editing our show. But evidently, yeah. So here we go. They were a little less predictable in this last game last weekend. Hurts actually lined up under center, which he hadn't been doing, which I said he should do. Get out of that shotgun, not be in it so much. He did that more than usual. They also used more play action. It worked not only because he got under center, but it also worked because they used Saquon Barkley enough to sell it, just barely enough to sell it. Because again, teams are taking him away, man. They're taking him away. It's getting to the point now where people are starting to ask, is he okay? Like some folks are saying maybe he's not 100%, but I'm not going to delve into that deep. That could be a subject for another time. Also, the Vikings kind of played into Hurts' hands. They blitzed a lot, meaning they were in man coverage a lot. And when he gets AJ and Devontae on one, then he's going to probably do better than he does against, not probably, he's going to do better than he does against zone defenses. So they kind of played it into his hands with that. I can't lie though, he's got a real pretty long ball, man. When Jalen Hurts lets that long ball go, man, it almost lulls you to sleep. It's so beautiful up there. So I got to go with the better team, like I did the first time these two teams played, and I'm going to go with the bias and pick the Eagles.
Going with the bias, going with the Eagles. Jets at Bengals. Bias plus score 0.6 favors the Bengals, Benny. So that's putting those two teams in the scoring and the turnover margin like so close. So close. They're each doing it. However, Flacco, man.
Flacco
Flacco.
magic, baby.
Woo, let's hear what
Flacco
you got.
magic. Although I think you and me could probably get Frank and Sly and a couple other guys together to beat the Jets. But anyhow, anyway,
Well,
Joe
at
Flacco's
least the
first.
coach, apparently the coach is safe. They talked to the owner, and the owner is
Oh
like,
yeah,
hey,
oh yeah,
you
oh
know,
yeah.
he
They
put it up,
they,
he
they
put it all on fields.
I'm surprised that nobody on ESPN or whatever station I looked at when they showed the interview of the owner, the first things out of his mouth, I don't think anybody caught it. When he was talking about Justin Fields, he said, a guy with his ranking. You remember when they first got him or was during the draft or something, when his kids were telling him Madden rankings? And he was picking players according to Matt. He did it again. He's talking about his Madden ranking. I'm
Is that what he
surprised
was talking
nobody
about,
picked that up.
really?
Yes, I'm shocked that nobody picked that up. But anyway, Joe Flacco's first
I
game
thought he
after
was
being
talking, I'm
traded.
sorry. I'm sorry. I thought he was talking QBR or something like that.
Well, I guess that's what everybody assumed, but they must have forgot about the whole ranking thing. His children, he has a teenage son who plays Madden and was trying to give him, it was during the draft. It wasn't specifically about Justin Fields, but it was during the draft. He was trying to give him advice on who they should draft according to Madden rankings.
Hmm.
Oh, wait, no, but rookies wouldn't have Madden rankings,
Yeah,
would
they
they?
wouldn't have a man rank.
Okay, well, it's in reference to somebody.
Okay.
And he was listening to him. That's the problem. They clowned him for like a week about that. Anyway, Flacco's first game after being traded to the Bengals was a loss to the Packers, but he actually played pretty well and actually put up a pretty valiant effort to come back from behind in that game, but they still lost. This past Sunday, in his new home in Cincinnati, in front of his new fans, he outdueled Aaron Rodgers and the division leading Steelers 33-31. That's 2 games as a Bengal, 2 games, 561 total passing yards, 5 touchdowns through the air, 0 turnovers, and he's only been sacked 3 times. That's Flacco magic, baby. It's on. Now, the Jets are a dumpster fire. In the third quarter of their loss to Carolina, Aaron Glenn benched Justin Fields. He brought in backup Tyrod Taylor. Glenn hasn't named his starter for this weekend's game, but I believe it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. I wouldn't put Justin Fields back out there. And after what the owner said about him, I don't think we're going to see him anymore this season unless Taylor gets hurt and they bring him back. It's bad. It's bad there. But yeah, I believe the coach is safe. And he should be. I think he's going to be a really good head coach. Um, he used to play for the Jets back in his playing days. I think the fans like him. I think he knows what he's doing. He's still learning how to be a head coach. Okay. But he's a real good defensive minded coach. And I think given time, he's going to be able to mold the Jets back into a winning team. But not anytime soon. So
Yeah,
forget about it.
man,
Take the Bengals at home.
that defensive minded part when I listen to what's his name? The Herd, that guy who very much favors offensive minded head coaches.
And
So that could be part of his a weakness for them. So we shall see.
why?
Huh?
Why?
I don't think he feels like defensive coaches are effective relative to the offense. Like they're not as effective. They don't help the quarterbacks as much. I remember, was it Rex Ryan and all that? I used to always say he can't spell offense.
You remember Bill Belichick?
Bill Belichick might be one of the well, he could be an exception, but he was also blessed with having an offensive coordinator who was
Okay.
really, really good, which is the
Okay.
cure. I mean, if you're not, if you're
So,
not that person, and if you can get that offensive coordinator, then you can offset any weaknesses.
and that's the whole idea. It's about being a good head coach, unless you're also the play caller. If you're also going to be the play caller, then yeah, you want an offensive minded coach. But if you're going to get a guy that's going to be a good head coach that can run the team, that the team believes in, like a Dan Campbell, like a Mike Vrabel, I can go down the list.
Well, and the Jets situation, you tell me if I'm not mistaken, their offensive coordinator is also a rookie. He brought him over
Okay.
with him.
Right. Okay, but you understand what I'm saying.
No, I'm not
If you're
disagreeing
going to
with you at all.
hire,
I'm just adding on to what you're saying.
yeah,
What you're
but
saying is
we
actually
talked
correct, but
about this when we
adding
did
on
the
to it.
we talked about this when we talked about the brain trust, and I said if you choose a head coach who's a defensive minded coach who has been a defensive coordinator in the past or whatever, then it behooves you and him, because usually a lot of GMs will allow their head coach to pick his coordinators, that he will find himself a strong offensive coordinator. If he's able to do that, he will have just as much success as an offensive-minded head coach. Sirianni's an offensive-minded head coach. He couldn't call plays his way out of a paper bag.
Well, again, that's Hurt's philosophy. I've heard it. I've heard him defend it, and
I've heard lots of people say it.
So, all right, where are we on this here, Benny? Let's see. Jets at Bengals. Bias plus score 0.6 favors the Bengals. Benny, which way you going?
We're already done with this one.
All right, well, tell me which way you went.
I picked the Bengals.
You picked the Bengals going with the bias. All right. My beloved 49ers at the Texans. We're going to Houston. Bias plus score of 11.1 favors the Texans, Benny. And I have one word for the Texans. Skew. Skew. Niners are going to come out hot. I'm believing. I'm feeling it. I'm believing in us, Benny. I know the numbers ain't saying it, but I'm believing in us. What you got?
The Texans are the league's #1 scoring defense, not meaning that they score, but meaning they've given up the least amount of points. But their record is 2-4. And their 2 wins are against the 1-win Titans, which was a blowout, and the injury-riddled 1-win Ravens, which was a blowout. There's your skew. There's your skew. So you can't be proud about that. Now, last week I made a statement, and then I thought better of it. I stayed with it because I didn't want to seem unsure of myself. What I said, and I don't remember my exact words, so I shall paraphrase. What I said was, when God decided to make the perfect running back, he made Bijan Robinson. But then after we finished doing the show and I was sitting around doing my fantasy, I remembered I got to put some respect on Christian McCaffrey's name.
Okay.
He's basically been carrying the Niners offense with all the injuries, along with the steady hand of Mac Jones, who should actually break him off some of that bonus money. He's on pace right now to rack up 1,000 yards rushing and receiving. The boy is balling. I mean, he's balling. Texans, I'm sorry, y'all can have that bias. I'm going with the 49ers.
Going against the bias, going with Barry and the bias, going against the bias and the Niners. Woo, there you go, there you go. I was trying to see where that game falls in at Benny. Okay, that's still an early game. That's got to be like a 4 o'clock.
I think that's a 4 o'clock game or 4:30.
Okay, maybe am I looking at the right week here? Week 8. All right, there you go. No, it says 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
It's 1 o'clock. Guess Houston's not that far off of us. Maybe Central Time, so it's not that big a deal. Next up, Buccaneers at Saints. Bias plus score 10.6 favors the Buccaneers, Benny.
I smell a get-right game. And the Bucs ran into a buzzsaw in Detroit on Monday night. I'm watching that game. I'm thinking to myself, I doubt there's a team in the league that would come out of this game with a win that particular night. Maybe next week, maybe the week before. But the way they looked Monday night, wasn't nobody going to beat them boys. This was the first game where it seemed like Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, no matter what they did, they couldn't right the ship. Everything just, and it wasn't like they were messing up real bad or they were really getting pounded. They had no answers. They had no answers. Detroit was looking that strong. Now, the Saints are 1-6. They just don't seem to have an answer. Talk about having answers. Spencer Rattler threw 2 touchdown passes, but he also threw 3 interceptions, and he lost a fumble. Getting beat up front is starting to be a regular thing. They cannot run the ball. They cannot stop the run. They are pitiful on the offensive and defensive line. Not to mention, even though this is a game in New Orleans, it is a division game. Buccaneers are going to get right in this one, taking the Bucs with the bias.
Buccaneers are favored by a touchdown, extra point, and a field goal plus. Going with the bias, going with the Bucs over the Saints. Cowboys at Broncos, Benny. Bias plus score of 1.6 favors the Broncos. When we looked at the Sterling net point rankings and you look at where everybody's ranking, you see the Cowboys up there in the top 2 or 3 in offense and the bottom 2 or 3 in defense. That big range between what their offense and their defense is doing, as opposed to the Broncos, who are much more in that, mid-range echelon. But long story short, the net effect is usually about the same. So this is actually looking to be a pretty close game between the Broncos and the Cowboys. What do you think about that?
Well, the Broncos are going to be at home. This has got to look like a really, really scary game for them. I'm sure that Sean Payton is going to be burning the midnight oil on this one, looking at film, trying to figure out a way they can take advantage of a team that they know has a kind of weak defense and also figure out a way to slow down, to use your word, that juggernaut of an offense for the Cowboys. It's especially scary because last weekend against my Giants, the Broncos couldn't score at all for 3 quarters. They had a 0 up on the board for 3 quarters. But then they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. And thanks in part to the Giants, pulled out a win 33-32. Now, Bo Nix, I call him Bo Breeze, scored 2 touchdowns on the ground and 2 through the air. So it took them a little while to get going, but once they got going, again, with the help from the Giants, not playing smart on defense, they did get the victory. So they're going to have to figure out how they can not start off slow like that against the Cowboys, because they won't be down 19-0. They'll be down 29-0. So we'll see what happens there. The Cowboys defense has every team they play licking their chops. They're studying the film. They're looking at the weaknesses. There's plenty of them, but not so fast, my friend. Their offense is as explosive as any other offense in the league right now, and that's holding them down is going to be a real chore. That's the bugaboo. That's the thing you got to really, really worry about when you see the Cowboys. They've scored 30 plus points 5 times. They've scored 40 plus 3 times, including last weekend's game, which was a 44-22 shellacking of the Commanders. This is a tough one to call. But I'm going to go with the veteran coach against the rookie head coach, the young quarterback against the old veteran quarterback. Oh, this is a tough one. You know me, man. I'm a defensive guy. So I'm going to go with the team with the better defense. That's the Broncos.
That would be the
I'm going to
Broncos.
pick the Broncos and bias, yes.
Bias plus 1.6 favors the Broncos.
If anybody can figure out a way to slow them down, I think it'll be Sean Payton and his crew. They'll come up with something.
All right, there you go. Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach. All right, Benny. Let me see what time this game is. 4:25, Benny. Titans at Colts. Bias plus score 32.4 favors the Colts. Woo! That skew ain't helping them Titans at all. Or was that the Texans?
That was the Texans. Yeah,
That was the
Titans
Texans.
wish they had a skew.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I'm telling you, they didn't put up much of a fight against the Patriots, who came down to Tennessee last weekend. But then again, I could say that about them just about every weekend so far. Nothing to cheer about over there in Tennessee. Colts wise, though, you got to love Daniel Jones and the Colts so far this season. I cannot lie. I had them finishing 3rd in the AFC South. I really did. They caught me by surprise on this one. And it's mostly Daniel Jones. I was really, really wrong on picking him 3rd in the AFC South. I could have at least picked him 2nd. But anyway, they're just outside the top 5 in overall defense. Now, remember your rankings, okay? They're just outside the top 5 in overall defense. They're 3rd in interceptions. Jonathan Taylor leads the league in rushing and in rushing touchdowns. And Daniel Jones is ninth in completions, fifth in passing yards, and he's tied for third in quarterback rushing touchdowns. So they are up in all the big time categories. And that's why overall they sit where they sit in the power rankings. That being said, of course, I'm going to go with the bias and go with the Colts.
I'm glad you didn't do one of your. No, I think I'm gonna
No, not, come on, man. Not on that one.
Not on this one. No, those
I
guys.
might have one of those in me though. It ain't over yet.
That's a serious football team, man. That's a team, so works well, works well. All right, who we got next? Packers at Steelers. Aaron goes back to Green Bay. Bias plus score was 0.6. Favors the Packers.
This one's interesting. This one's very interesting. We got the whole Aaron Rodgers thing going. Although he said it wasn't that big a deal, it'd be a bigger deal if the game was in Green Bay. But you know how Aaron Rodgers is. He always soft sells everything, and then he comes after and he plays his butt off. But we'll see what happens. Steelers are 4-2. Packers are 4-1-1. Even though they're 4-1-1, the Packers are kind of like the Eagles, sort of, kind of. I just don't feel like they're playing as well as I expected them to play when you look at all the talent on their team. They just seem to be underachieving for some point, for some reason. Or maybe it's just Jordan Love that I think is underachieving, because when I really looked into the team, the defense has been very steady, not spectacular. They don't make a lot of splash plays. They don't take the ball away a lot, but they're 10th in sacks, 6th in points against, and 3rd in yards against, which is a big stat for the NFL. Not for us. We do points. They do yardage. Offensively, Josh Jacobs has been the most consistent guy offensively. So again, a lot of those things are covering up for Jordan Davis. I heard him calling him J-Lo on TV this morning. God, that's horrible. They shouldn't do that to him. They really shouldn't. Now, Steelers. Now we know what Mike Tomlin was afraid of when he asked why the Browns would trade a quarterback like Joe Flacco, not only to a team seriously in need of a quarterback, but also one in the same doggone division. He saw this coming. He saw this coming. Why would y'all trade him to them? And boom, they got beat. But Steel Curtain will prevail in this game. I'm picking the Steelers and going against the bias to beat the Packers.
So, you Love versus Rodgers, and you're going with the old vet, eh?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the old vet.
It didn't look too bad, but it was hilarious when he was celebrating that one win, and the lineman was running up behind him to celebrate and fell on
And he
him.
knocked him down. Well, he was pissed.
He was so pissed.
But guess what? I know exactly how he feels. I know exactly how he feels. Just think about it. He ain't as old as us. But you know, if somebody walks too close to you or well, you might not know, but brushes past you, and all you can see is like your life flying before your eyes. Like if I fall, it's going to really hurt. Oh, so I know, I know the feeling.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, he was pissed. And he let him know right off the bat too. He didn't hold it till later, like, don't do that again. He turned right around, started barking.
Yeah.
I'm sure the kid felt really bad though,
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He was happy. He was jumping up and down,
He
they
was
were celebrating.
trying to celebrate with him. All right. Benny, Commanders at Chiefs. If I'm not mistaken, that would be the Sunday night game. Let me see here. Yeah. No, Sunday night was Packers Steelers. That's
That's Monday
Monday
night.
night. Monday night.
So
Commanders
we
at
got one
Chiefs.
Monday night game. Yay. No doubleheader.
No doubleheader. Bias plus
Good.
score 13.1, Betty. Almost two touchdowns favors the Chiefs. And I don't know how healthy Jaden Daniels is. You'll let us know in your
Yeah,
analysis.
I'm not feeling too good about Jaden Daniels, and it's a hamstring. So hamstrings they're tough. They're usually at least 2 weeks minimum. But yeah, I haven't heard any definitive outcome on that just yet. Um, they got pounded by the Cowboys last week. Obviously, they lost Jaden Daniels in the process. I'm not sure how long Marcus Mariota can help them keep up in what is turning into be a very exciting NFC East. Hopefully, the Giants can keep up. If they can keep up, this thing is going to get really, really wild coming down the stretch. Um, but I don't know how long they're going to be able to go without Jaden Daniels. And even with him for 3 quarters of the game, the Cowboys still pretty much had their way with him. So, I don't know if they're going to run out of gas, if they're going to bounce back when McLaurin gets back. I don't know. We'll have to
Yeah, no
see.
McLaurin and no Debo.
Right, right. Oh, that's right. Debo's hurt too. Oof, that's got to hurt. Now, Rashee Rice is back from suspension. That means the Chiefs' skill players are all in place, and thus they blew out the Raiders 31-0. There's nothing else much to talk about when it comes to the Chiefs. You already said right now they're probably the scariest team in the league. I would have to agree with you. Their recent past, how well they held on, even though they weren't having a great season last year. Their slow start, but they're still up there um, with a 4-3 record. And now they look like they're going to get everybody back. I think they still got a lineman or two offensively and possibly a defensive player or two that are out. But once they get everybody back, yeah, they're going to be super scary. So got to go with the Raiders on this one.
The Chiefs, you mean?
That's why I meant the Chiefs. I was thinking about how bad they beat the Raiders.
Well, Ben, the Chiefs are back when they start having shenanigans in their goal line play.
Yeah.
So you saw that play where Mahomes goes up to the line and acts like he's trying to pull everybody off sides and then turns around, throws his hands up like this never works. This doesn't
This
work.
play never works.
Too funny, too funny. But yeah, when they get to playing around like that, they're feeling themselves, man. So
It's actually smart to do. I like that. I remember Jameis did that one time, but he didn't run a play. He was actually frustrated. He's going, will somebody jump off sides, please? And then finally he goes, time out.
oh, somebody jump off. That's my man. Jameis, famous Jameis. All right, bias plus is 13.1 favoring the Chiefs. Ben's going with the bias. That was Monday night, Benny, of week 8. Finishes up the weekend of football. And as usual, we have one more piece of business to celebrate. And that is the bias plus buster of week 7, Benny. That would be those Cleveland Browns with a bias plus buster score of 30.6. The Cleveland Browns, Benny, get a chance to strut their stuff a little bit with the bias plus score. So there you go with the Cleveland Browns. All right, Benny. That's all I got. You got anything else?
Yeah, let's just remind everybody this is week 8. This, for fantasy players, is the dreaded bye week. On the bye, the Lions, the Raiders, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Jags. There's a lot of star players on those teams. Maybe on a couple of teams, there's only one or two star players, but there's a lot of guys that people have in their starting fantasy lineups that they will not have this week. So depends on how you look at it. You might want to move some guys around, pick up some free agents, means you might have to drop somebody. If you're carrying two kickers, you might want to let one go to make a roster space to try to find somebody, or you might just say, screw it, I'm just going to lose this week. Because it's rough.
Don't be sleep at the switch in fantasy this weekend, that's for sure.
It's rough. It's rough.
All right, all right. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is Ben and Barry on football. Please click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. And you can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. Peace.
Later, y'all.